But you chose to go back to the residence to carry out this plan and cause havoc and harm, despite you're telling the judge you would never burn the house down. What else was anybody to think pouring gasoline in a home?
I shut the power off as soon as the gasoline got spilled, so there would be no sparks. I shut the boiler off. I shut the power off. That
doesn't make anything any better, sir.
I know. I'm sorry.
It's not every day you see someone wheel themselves into their parole chair, and he's not guilty of the crimes that, frankly, I thought he was when I first saw him roll into that chair. He's convicted, or at least was arrested, for attempting to burn down a home, and that is just, it's scary. Now, has prison time helped him come to terms with why he did it and what he did wrong? We'll find out at his parole hearing. And with that,
this hearing has been conducted in consideration of the parole application for Mark Stanton, inmate number 406874. He is serving a sentence of 12 years, execution suspended after 4 years jail with 5 years of probation to follow for attempt to commit arson. Second, as of today, records reflect the parole eligibility date of 4/11/2025 at 85%. There is no victim info in this case. There is an offender accountability plan. For the offender, it has been reviewed and showed he has completed voices to date, utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system. The offender overall score on the SRT falls within the low range of risk for recidivism. Mr. Stanton, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin, sir.
I learned my lesson. I know what I did wrong, and I plan on fixing whatever I did, as far as whatever I'm guilty of, and doing the right thing from this point on.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Stanton. We're going to take turns asking questions of you, and then we will discuss your case and make our decision. Do you have any questions, sir?
Not right now.
Great. All right, so I'll begin. What is this lesson that you learned?
That I should be more careful. Yeah. Sorry, I'm having a hard time breathing. I gotta respect and be careful what I do and say around others. Watch out and be more family orientated and learn to control my temper better.
I think you do have some issues with your anger. You concluded by saying you're going to be fixing things. What is it that you're going to fix?
Well, if my family wants to reconcile, then I'm willing to reconcile with my daughter and see where it goes from there, if she wants to reconcile.
Had you had any contact?
No, I have not.
This is your first period of incarceration on a very serious offense. I didn't actually hear anything by way of an apology for the crime that you committed. Is there something that you might want to say if the people affected by your bad choices were listening?
Oh, I'm sorry that I hurt them in any way, physically or emotionally.
You say that like you're not sure that you hurt them. Do you think you hurt them?
I'm conflicted about my daughter. I know she loves me. When she went to court, she said she loved me, but she was worried about my anger issues. And I haven't seen her or spoke to her since then, so I don't know where she stands. I do know that they have, you know, I am willing to reconcile, go through therapy, family counseling if she wants to do that. If she wants nothing to do with me, then I'll respect that too.
She's not the only one that was harmed though, right?
Correct.
So is there some sort of apology that, you know, long overdue that it is, you might make to those you did harm?
I can say I'm sorry, but they really don't want any contact with me. I mean, Isiah has a lifetime protective order against me. So I'm just gonna leave that alone and stay away from it. I won't.
But that doesn't prohibit you from apologizing, sir, and I'm gonna ask you not to state the victim's name during the
Okay.
hearing.
Okay, I'm sorry. I am sorry that I hurt her in any way.
I can't imagine the work that would be necessary to clean up that house after you poured all that gasoline inside and out. I just can't even fathom that that situation could ever be fully rectified. The stink of the gasoline in the carpet soaking into the wood underneath, what was really behind your anger that you would take such an extreme action?
Nancy and I, or I'm sorry, the person I was involved with were having really control issues. I felt I was being controlled, and I didn't like the feeling that I was being controlled, and I just wanted out.
But you chose to go back to the residence to carry out this plan and cause havoc and harm, despite your telling the judge you would never burn the house down. What else was anybody to think pouring gasoline in a home?
I shut the power off as soon as the gasoline got spilled, so there would be no sparks. I shut the boiler off. I shut the power off.
That doesn't make anything any better, sir.
I know, I'm sorry.
I mean, you know what that is? That's you minimizing and justifying your crime.
Okay.
It's just the intent behind your acts. You know, if you wanted out of the relationship as an adult man, I would have thought you could negotiate that as a respectful, responsible person. This was a 5-year relationship. Were you living there at that house?
Yes.
That's why all the clothes were outside, because you've got all your stuff out?
It was her clothes.
You were in the domestic violence program there in the facility. How far
Yes.
did you get in that program?
I was able to do 2 different pamphlets, 2 different booklets, because I'm in hospital 3.
Why were you discharged
Discharged.
from the program before you finished it?
I ended up going to UConn on the day that I was supposed to attend the class part of it, but I did have the homework. Well, I did do the homework part of it. Yeah,
You completed the Explore program out in the community in 2015. That must have been for the Assault 3.
yeah.
So did you not learn anything in that program about how to cope when there was conflict in a relationship?
I did, Your Honor. I'm sorry. I did, ma'am. And from 2015 to 2000, for 6 years, I did pretty good. I was married to my wife for 30 years, and I did not know going through the divorce was rough for me. And then I stayed single for a while, and then finding out, getting into a new relationship, I never should have gotten into a new relationship. I wasn't ready.
Have you asked about an anger management program there in the facility?
They gave me anger management booklets to go through, and I would read the chapters, answer the questions.
So you have 5 years of probation to follow this sentence, but you have 8 years of this sentence hanging over your head when you go back out into the community. You violate your probation, you could be made to serve those 8 years back in prison. So you need to take your probation very seriously.
Yep.
You know, you had such a minimal criminal history that it's like going from 0 to 60 with arson. And I just, as an adult, you know, to not have more coping strategies. I mean, you drove yourself back to the residence after the victim got out of your car. You could have driven anywhere and gotten away and, you know, calmed down and, you know, decided about your future and what you wanted for yourself. But you chose this act instead. So your release plan, you don't have a sponsor and you want to resume receiving SSDI.
Correct.
Is that enough for you to live on?
Yes.
Good. Okay. That's it for my questions. Thank you for talking with me, Mr. Stanton. Mr. Sosowskis?
Good afternoon, sir. So, you know, I was listening to the things that you were saying, and you said that you felt like you were being controlled. But I mean, you know, when I hear this story of what you did, and I can't help to feel like that you were the one controlling the other people, you know, this whole story about the gas and everything. But you sit here today still saying that you were being controlled by them. I mean, it sounds like victim blaming, you know, that you're blaming them for what you did. And
Okay.
yeah, and then when you had the interview with the parole officer, you said also you have to stop being in toxic relationships. And now to me, that also sounds like you're blaming the other people. Have you considered that the trouble with relationships and these things that could be due to your own impulsivity, your anger, and like poor decision making? You know, I don't hear that from you. I hear you saying that it's other people's fault. That's what I'm reading when I read these things, you know?
No, it's my fault for getting involved in relationships that I should not be in.
I know, but see, you're doing it again. You're saying it's your fault for getting involved in a relationship, but once you're in it, now it's their fault. So I just,
Okay.
yeah, I would like you to work on, you know, and maybe you need to go through a domestic violence class or an anger management or have the right programming to understand your role in this and not just blaming everyone else. You know what I mean? This is something that you did. So you went back to the house, like my colleague said, you could have very well driven away, gone somewhere else to a family member's house. I don't know. You could have went anywhere. And you on your own went and did all that with the gasoline. You know what I mean? That was the actions that you took. No one else made you do that. That was something that you decided and you went and did. And, you know, it seems controlling that you were trying to somehow control them into telling them you were going to burn this house down and all of those things. So, when I look at making a decision on what to do, I'm trying to read between all these documents and find a change. And you're still saying things to me that sound like you're blaming the other people. So that's what I hear from you. I mean, my colleague has asked all the questions that I would have asked you. That was the only thing that keeps coming up in your conversations. Where are you planning to live when you get out? Let me ask you that.
I don't know. My house got foreclosed on. I really don't know.
Do you have any
I-
relatives that you still talk? Any relatives you still talk to? Any old friends, support system? Anyone that has said we could help you and we're gonna help you transition it? Anything like that?
My younger sister is willing to help me get into a camper.
Okay.
I own a camper, and we'll put it at a campground, and that'll get me through the summer. If I'm given probation or a parole, and then I'll have to find a place to live after that.
Okay. Well, that's
That's all
something.
I-
That's
The plan. I plan on. I kind of figured if I get parole, then I go into a halfway house.
Okay.
Where I can get my Social Security straightened out, get my finances straightened out, get my medical straightened out. And then from there, get the camper set up at a campground for the summer months. If I can find a year-round campground here in Connecticut, that's even better.
Yeah.
I know they have them down in Florida.
Where is this camper that you're talking about? Where's this at your sister's house?
No, right now it's at the house where my oldest daughter is living. Because my house got foreclosed. So the house got foreclosed on.
I mean, how realistic is that you get this camper? You haven't talked to your daughter. I mean, she's gonna let you go there, you think?
My oldest daughter, everything is being done through my sister right now, so I don't know.
All right, those are all the questions I have, sir. Thank you very much. I'm done, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Barry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, Mr. Statman, I am just reviewing this police report again to make sure that I have my facts accurate. But it's my understanding that you were certainly the aggressor in all of these behaviors on the day that this offense occurred. Did you in fact beat up this woman?
I couldn't hear her.
Did you slap her in the face with an open hand, then punch her in the left eye with a closed fist, and then punch her in her stomach? Did you do that?
Yes.
You did all that with an oxygen tank?
No.
So I'm curious to know, did you have the gasoline can in your car?
No, the gasoline can was in my garage. I was carrying it from the garage up to the stairs. I was going to go out the front door with it.
For what?
Um,
For what?
What reason?
I was going to put the gas can in the back of the pickup truck
For what?
with the camper.
So you had gas just sitting in your garage?
Yes.
You had to bring it inside the house and up the stairs to bring it back outside to your truck?
Yeah, I could have gone out through the garage door, but I came up. I live on a raised ranch, two big garage raised ranch.
Why would you make statements like you were going to light the place up if you weren't going to set this place on fire? I just have issues, honestly, with the minimization on your intentions here today. And you haven't been consistent with your minimizing of what you intended to do. You use terms like spill, you didn't spill any gasoline. You poured the gasoline all around the outside of the house. When she saw you and confronted you, you assaulted this girl. Your entire family wants absolutely nothing to do with you. And you say that they're full of, I wrote this down. It says, my family has lots of resentment. I wonder why. But you're innocent, huh?
I'm not innocent.
I'm hoping this is serious. This lady is traumatized for the rest of her life because you tried to burn her alive. I mean, this was serious. So I'm hoping that you've learned your lesson, sir. I know you sit here, you look very feeble, you sound like you're ailing, but that wasn't the person that did all this to this lady.
I understand.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So that's it for the questions, Mr. Stanton. Give us just a few minutes. Geez, I started this, huh? So Mr. Stanton has a bit of trouble with being fully accountable for this quite serious crime. You know, even telling the parole officer when he was interviewed that he, you know, spilled some gas in front of the house trying to set up a generator. And now we get a whole different story where he's more admitting to it, but not still fully. And the one program that he took, Voices, you would have thought would have prepared him to come before us with an apology for such a serious offense. Or offenses, because, you know, the domestic violence, you know, he was charged with a whole bunch of things he didn't, that didn't end up on his record. So I'm not feeling that Mr. Stanton has changed significantly. Even when asked about the lesson he learned, which is how he began his opening statement, he really struggled through that and said he would have to be careful about what he does and says around others. You know, that seems devoid of an appreciation for the violence that he was engaging in out of anger, and today choosing to portray himself as the victim in the relationship is equally questionable. So all that said, we're looking at a 4-month difference between his 85% and his end of sentence. And I am not in a position today to grant Mr. Stanton that early release.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you've said, and I'm also not granting today.
Okay. So I have nature and circumstance, inadequate evidence of offender change. Anything you want to add to that?
I have lack of program person. He needs another domestic violence, anger management, something.
Right.
Mental health.
Here's what I'm struggling with. We have an unsigned, undated OAP that has discharge planning and a job. So, you know,
That doesn't negate the behaviors that need to be addressed. So I would
Right.
still say inadequate program participation.
okay. So in the matter of Mark Stanton, inmate number 406-874, there's a motion to deny parole for the following reasons: the nature and circumstances of your offense, your inadequate program participation, and inadequate evidence of offender change. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Mr. Stanton, we were not able to see our way clear to granting you discretionary parole. You'll go out end of sentence to 5 years of probation, and we wish you much success.
Okay, thank you.
Good luck.
Scheduled Mark Stanton, 406-874. You'll receive all this, Mr. Stanton, and the mail. Receive the paperwork.
Okay,
Have a good day, too.
yeah.
You know, it is pretty remarkable listening to this parole hearing and seeing a guy who just is still, he's the victim. In his mind, he is the victim who goes into a home, pours gasoline all over the place, and is the victim. But we see it all the time. And, you know, he certainly looks harmless right now. And is it an act? How much of it is an act? Is he actually aged that well and it's real? Who really knows, right? But we're about to watch another parole hearing of a man who doesn't take responsibility at all for anything that he's done. And it's going to be interesting for me to unpack it for you. You might be surprised in the unpacking. You know, it's hard to say who can get surprised anymore with any of this stuff, though, right? But come on, it is scary. Now, I mean, he had a 10-year sentence. I don't have much information Sir Richard has on this, but he's going to serve the full 10 years for lighting the house on fire. And it was interesting how they brought up too, right? The how he brought up the fact so like nonchalantly about, oh yeah, I hit her, but I didn't assault her. It's like, okay, what can he do? What can he say? Anyways, good thing he didn't burn the house down. That would have, but I don't know. Yeah, how do you ever repair that? Like a little tiny bit of gas touches anything and it's like it's wrecked. Imagine gasoline poured all over a home. But there you have it. Sometimes things never get old, but you still can't make it up. And I'm happy that they deny. Now let's go jump into this hearing. This is a little bit different, but in many ways the same. Let's go.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Isiah Thomas, 360-153. He is serving a sentence of 15 years, execution suspended after 8 years jail with 5 years of probation and following assault first, criminal possession of a firearm, interfering with the officer/resistant, and sales of hallucinogens/narcotics. As of today, records reflect the parole eligibility date of 3/29/2025 at 85%. There's no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan to the offender. It has been reviewed and shown he has completed voices to date, utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system. The offender overall score on the RT falls within the moderate range of risk for recidivism. Mr. Thomas, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole, sir. You can begin. Explain to the board why you believe you deserve parole.
I believe I deserve parole because I did majority of my sentence. And I'm ready to go back out there and do what I need to do for my family. I have a kid that I never even seen yet. When I was incarcerated, her mom delivered her, and I just want to go back out there and be a father, go back to work.
Okay, well, Mr. Thomas, the question wasn't why you want parole, it's why you deserve it. Do you have anything to say with respect to deserving?
Yes, I deserve it because I did my program. I did most of my time. I stayed out of trouble while I was in jail. I maintained employment in here.
All right, well, we're going to ask questions of you based on the documents what you reviewed. Then we will discuss your case and you'll have our decision this afternoon. Are you ready to proceed?
Yes.
We're going to begin with my colleague, Mr. Sosowskis.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
So I read through all the documentation and reports related to your cases. And in regards to the assault versus the shooting, it says that you claim that you didn't do it, even though you pled guilty.
Yes, I,
Is that still your position, sir? That this is not they got the wrong guy?
Sir, I'm telling you, I did not do it, sir. I plead guilty under the offer docket because the evidence they had against me. But I'm guilty. I'm guilty though. I'm guilty of the people I hung around. I'm guilty of my peers. That's what I'm guilty of.
All right. You said that in your opening statement that one of the reasons that you deserved parole was that you didn't get in any trouble while you're
Yes.
incarcerated.
Yes.
But looking at the reports, I mean, that doesn't, I see disciplinary reports in here for things that happen. So,
Yes, I believe I have 2 or 3.
3.
Yes.
So, yeah, one of the ones that's most concerning, because you have a drug charge here, right? That's part of all this.
Yes.
Okay, so one of the things, we're looking to try to identify some change when we look at these documents and talk to you. So, I noticed that you have a drug charge from selling drugs in the community, and then inside there's this charge of Pruno, and it says the offender stated he was making the home brew alcohol to sell it.
Yes.
So you're gonna. So I mean, it sounds like the same behavior as when you're on outside. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm not seeing a change. You said you're not. You were behaving inside and that you're not having any trouble, but here you are selling alcohol inside to people that are in jail because some of them have lifelong addictions to alcohol, and now you're perpetuating their problems.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you understand why that's a problem?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir. I made a mistake.
Okay. Well, let's talk about how you think you've changed since you've been incarcerated.
Yes.
How do you think you've changed from then until now?
I think different. Before I just move on emotion. I don't move on emotion no more. Try to think things out before I do it.
All right. Talk about your release plan. Where is it you're going to live and work? What's your plan when you're released?
Maintain employment. I have a family member that have his own business. Before I came in, I had a good job. I'm currently going back and forth with the boss right now, so I know if I go home, I definitely have a job.
Do you know about this ADT situation? ADT, is that what you're talking about?
Yes, that's what one of my cousins, and I definitely have employment with him.
Do you know what that job is about? What you would be doing?
Yes, I would be doing like customer services.
Have you ever done that kind of thing before?
Yes,
Did you work at an upholstery place before?
yes.
What was that job about?
It was Princess Upholstery. I used to just go all over the state of Connecticut, get items and like measure and see what's going on. We'll fix them and we'll bring them back.
So will you be doing that again or no?
Yes, yes.
I didn't hear where you're going to live at. Do you have a sponsor to go to live somewhere?
Yes, sir.
Where's that at?
I have to get their address, but I have a sponsor.
Okay,
A family member of mine's, a sister.
Okay, it's a family member.
Yes.
Are you going to be going back to where all these things were taking place at? Or are you starting somewhere
No,
fresh?
sir. No, sir. I started fresh. I'm trying to move. Currently, my sister, my brother, my mother, they all relocated. We were staying in Bridgeport. Now they stay in New Haven, Connecticut. So I'm gonna go out there if I be released.
To New Haven? That's your
Yes,
plan?
sir. Yes, sir.
All right. And I read something about you wanting to get your GED. Have you started on that at all?
No, sir. But soon I go home. That's besides maintaining a job. That's the top of my list.
Why do you think that you got these disciplinary tickets, you know, after you were incarcerated?
I just wasn't, at the time, I wasn't focused, COVID, and I wasn't focused. But I believe I have my priorities straight, and I believe I'm ready.
All right, you said you've taken the programs. What programs have you taken?
I have done voices, and I did NA, I did AA. We used to run our own program during COVID. Me and another individual, which is anybody who just need help and just want to talk and about religion and just just doing better in society.
Okay, it says that you have addiction services on your OAP, so that would be like a tier program. Have you done a tier program?
Yes.
Let's see that on here.
When did you complete it, sir?
2021, I believe.
I don't have it listed here. What about you work as a tierman?
Yes, sir.
What do you do? What kind of work do you do?
I'm always out making sure the guys have things they need, cleaning offices and bathrooms and just the block period.
Now, I see you did complete voices, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, deny this assault first, but you do have another instance where there were shots fired and you had we get bullets in your pocket. Is that what happened?
Yes. Yes.
What was going on with that situation?
I was with a friend of mine, and we was walking, and he started firing off his gun, and he took the shell cases out, and he gave them to me. He had the gun, and we was walking down the street. The cops pulled us over, and that's what happened.
So you didn't fire off the gun. You didn't have the gun.
No, I didn't have the gun. I only had the shells. He took the shells out and gave them to me. He had the gun. I was walking with him. I told him, "Yo, take the bullet." Like, what are you doing? And he took the bullets out, but he already fired them and gave them to me.
Okay. So neither of those incidents with the gun, neither of those were your fault. Those two situations.
I never got caught with a gun, sir. In that incident, only the shells. Neither incident, I never got caught with any firearms.
I understand that you didn't get caught with that, but you were charged and pled guilty to these crimes, and
yes.
you're saying that you didn't do these things. So,
I plead guilty to the first. I plead guilty. I was with a friend. We was walking down the street. I tried to talk him out of it. It was his gun. He fired it. I took the shells. I put it in my pocket, but it was too late. The cops, they was already there.
and in this other incident, you were driving a car. You had a suspended license,
Yes.
and then you had drugs in the car.
Yes. I take full responsibility for that, sir.
All right. Back in 2010, I don't know if you recall this, but you had weapons in a motor vehicle charge. What
Yes.
was that weapon? There's a lot of weapons involved in this. You know what I mean? In these charges, you have one in 2017 and another one in 2010.
The guy that was from my the case. I was with friends. I was with the guy brother from where I was from the first case, and the first one, 2010, I was guilty of that.
What did you have?
Guilty.
What was
possession of a firearm.
So you had a gun in the car in 2010.
Yes. Yes.
But in 2017, you got another weapons in a motor vehicle. Looks like.
Oh no, that was possession of a weapon. I was the passenger, sir.
And what was the weapon in the car?
I believe it was a knife and a gun they ran out the car and they left me in the car.
So are you still in contact with any of these people? All these crimes you're talking
No.
about have to do
No,
with
sir.
some people.
No, sir. No, sir.
You haven't seen any of these people in jail? You don't talk to them on the phone?
No, sir. I changed my life, sir.
You have 4 different incidents involving guns that, I mean, one of them you're claiming that you pled guilty to, but the other ones you're saying that you didn't do any of these things.
Yes, sir.
All right. That's all the questions I have, sir. Thank you very much. I'm going to pass along to my colleagues so they could ask you some questions.
Ms. Page?
Thank you.
Barry?
Thank you. So, thank you, Madam Chair. So, Mr. Thomas, I actually chose 6 weapons-related convictions. And our job here today, just so that you know, and for those who are watching, we're not here to determine a person's innocence or guilt. You pled guilty to the offense. So in our eyes, and you know, we are following the law. That
Yes.
you're eligible for discretionary parole after you completed 85% of the sentence. And then the sentence that we're discussing, we're talking about an assault 1, where this victim says that you permanently disabled him because
Yes.
of the shooting that he was
Yes.
victim of. So that's 1 gun. As I wanted to say that. So then now we have this criminal possession of a weapon where you say that you just had the bullets and the guy had the gun,
Yes.
but we'll just say who has bullets without a gun. So okay, we'll let that one slide. And then we have one in 2017 where you were seen throwing a gun into a trash can after you removed it from your waist, and you just told the police, "Go ahead and shoot me."
No, that was the guy I was with.
Okay. All right. So now let's move on to the weapon in the motor vehicle in 2016, and you said that was a gun and a knife.
In 2016, yes.
All right. And then you have the criminal possession of a weapon in 2017. We said that was your friend.
Yes.
So, all right. So now we're up to 3 still. You have a weapon in a motor vehicle in 2008. What was that?
I was with another friend.
I'm not asking who you were with. I'm saying what weapon was it?
It was a gun.
Okay. And how about in 2010? No pistol permit. That was a gun.
Yes, ma'am.
So at least in our discussion, we're talking about at least being in possession of 4 firearms, 5 if we count this assault.
Yes.
1 is with 1 too many.
I know. Yes, ma'am.
And I reviewed the record to see if you had completed the tier program during this period of incarceration, and it shows that your last tier program, you refused to receive the program, and that was in 2012. That was the last time that you had any kind of tier.
No, ma'am. I received when I was in Mandoo too. I received the program.
Look it up again because it doesn't show it here, sir.
I see he's still on the wait list for
Yeah, I'm looking in the RT3 and
other 3I. It's waitlisted.
okay. So our records don't indicate that you've taken anything. I just don't think that, it's a recipe for disaster. People out in the street with guns, and then showing that you're willing to utilize it. And I understand that you're saying that you're innocent, but that's not my role. I'm not a jury of your peers here today. I can't say
Yes, ma'am.
telling the truth. I have to go based on what we have, and based on what we have, I don't think that you're suitable, sir. I'm done, Madam Chair.
Okay. So all I wanted to say, Mr. Thomas, is that you have a 15-year sentence. So when you go out, you'll have 7 years of this sentence hanging over your head. You're
Yes,
only
ma'am.
required to serve 8. So that 7 years, while you're serving 5 years of probation, you violate the probation, you can be brought back and made to serve those 7 years. And you do have 5 years on the state's deadly weapon offender registry. Have you been on that registry before?
No, ma'am.
Okay, well, it's a 5-year obligation with the state police, and you should take it seriously because it could bring you back to prison for 5 years and or cost you $5,000. Okay. All right, so that concludes the questions that we have for you, and we're going to discuss. Please don't interrupt. Mr. Sosowskis.
So, Mr. Thomas has a lengthy criminal record of similar behavior, including drug charges of selling drugs, and he was then incarcerated and then selling alcohol while he was incarcerated. He hasn't really expressed any remorse or apology to his victims or acknowledgement of any of this. And I just think it's a public safety concern of mine, and that he's not suitable in my mind today.
Thank you. Councilmember Barry?
Yes, Madam Chair, I did express my concerns for Mr. Thomas as well, and I did explain that I did not believe he was suitable as well.
Okay, so we have criminal history, inadequate program participation, and evidence of offender change, inadequate release plan.
I actually had major, and this assault one was serious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was. So nature and circumstances, criminal history, inadequate offender change,
Mm-hmm.
and program participation, right?
Yes.
So those four.
Sure. Okay. So in the matter of Isiah Thomas, inmate number 360153, there is a motion to deny parole for the following reasons: your criminal history, the nature and circumstances of your current offenses, and inadequate program participation and evidence of offender change. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So this was the unanimous decision, Mr. Thomas. We couldn't see our way clear, but you will go out to 5 years of probation at end of sentence this time next year, and we wish you much success.
Good luck to you, sir.
Good luck.
Thank you.
This concludes the hearing for Isiah Thomas.
Let me ask you, would you have any idea by what we just watched? Would you know that he shot a man 5 times? 5 times. I it could be sometimes I listen to it, I'm multitasking, my head isn't all there, but I listened to it and did not see that he shot him 5 times until I go through the information Sir Richard brought. Can you believe this is written March 25th, 2019? We're in 2024. He shoots a man 5 times. He's got a record this long and he's up for parole. Isiah Coco appeared confident right up until his victim arrived in Superior Court. Thomas, 29, had asked for a trial, confident that the man he allegedly shot 5 times last year, 46-year-old Sham, wouldn't show up in court to testify against him because Thomas had 4 outstanding arrest warrants. So he had 4 outstanding arrest warrants. He's like, why would he show up to court? He's going to get arrested to show up to court. But he did. On the first day of trial, Thompson, saying he wanted to turn his life around, appeared at the courthouse. With the change of heart, Thomas agreed to plead guilty to the charge of first-degree assault, said Senior Assistant State's Attorney Joseph Harry. And that takes courage, right? Here's a man who has the arrest warrants, but he says, you know what? I'm going to go. I'll start my life now. I'm going to go and testify against him. And then you say, well, why isn't he here at his parole hearing? Probably because they never notified him. Who knows? Our case against him, Thomas became much better, the prosecutor said on Monday. Our case against Thomas became much better. Thomas faces 8 years in prison when he is sentenced May 10th. Can you imagine in what world can shooting a man 5 times only get you 8 years? You can't make this stuff up. It's the strangest thing. We've seen less though. We saw someone who shot someone 4 times. They got 4 years. 1 year for each bullet, the parole board member said. On May 9, 2018, Thompson was rushed to Bridgeport Hospital suffering 5 gunshot wounds. Questioned by police at the hospital, they said he told them, "Coco shot me. It was Coco." Thompson told police detectives he had stopped at a store on Orchard Street to buy some Lucy's single cigarettes when Thomas jumped into the passenger seat of his vehicle. He ordered Thompson to drive to Brook Street and then tried to rob Thomas at gunpoint. They said Thomas managed to get out of the vehicle and run, but not before Thomas fired at him. So he shoots at a man running away from him in the back after he carjacks him. Since the shooting, 4 warrants were issued for Thompson, charging him with 3rd-degree larceny, 2nd-degree forgery, failure to appear in court, violation of probation, violation of protective order for unrelated crimes. Can someone explain to me? Can someone without a PhD explain to me why attempted murder wasn't in there? I know you all with the PhDs will have. I don't want someone with a PhD to explain it to me. I need someone who has some common sense to explain it to me. Why was attempted murder not in those charges? Why was carjacking not in those charges? Why was kidnapping not in those charges? Why? This man has a record. We heard of it, how many records he has, but Sir Richard provides 9/16/2016, illegal possession of a weapon in a motor vehicle, sentenced to 3 years, suspended after 9. Remember, this only dates back. Connecticut, they only share us 10 years of records. So pretty much it's almost at that 10-year, but that 9-year mark. And so we're getting to our first illegal possession of a weapon. But he gets a slap on the wrist. 12/30/2017. So either he didn't serve the time or he was on probation. I don't really know, but he gets another possession intent to sell. He gets 1 year jail. Now, apparently he's still not in jail because, actually before the 12/30, he has 11/23/2017 criminal possession of a firearm, sentenced to 5 years. But again, we know that doesn't mean anything. Interference with an officer. 6/13/18, he has assault 1st-degree injury. Sentence. This is the sentence of 15-year jail. So, it doesn't make any sense. The legislation in Connecticut, I think, allows 5 years prison for having a gun without a permit. Forget being a felon and a gun, right? So if you, as a perfectly law-abiding citizen were to walk into Connecticut, or maybe you have a license in New York and you're driving through Connecticut and it's not properly locked up or whatever, and you get pulled over and a judge wants to throw the book at you, 5 years. You know what? Let's just double check this. Yeah, and here it is. I'm right. According to their statutes, carrying a handgun without a permit is a Class D felony punishable by up to 5 years in jail. And this is carrying a handgun. You could be, again, you could be a citizen without a speeding ticket on your record. You can have a permit to carry that gun in 40 other states in the United States, but you are still a DA if they wanted to go and chase you down. 5 years. Yet this guy who has felony after felony after felony after felony has a man who's willing to take the stand and say, he shot me 5 times. And they give him a plea deal. They give him a plea deal to get out. Well, he's getting out next year. It's attempted murder. They could have gotten him on carjacking, on kidnapping, on everything. But no, this is messed up. This is dangerous. And as you can see, while he's in prison, he's still doing business as regular. While in prison, he's selling stuff. While in prison, what do you think's going to happen when he gets out? And someone's going to die, and they're going to say, how did we know? Oh, no. Woe is we. And they're going to look at everywhere. They're going to point fingers everywhere. And they're not going to look at the common sense right in front of our faces that this is a dangerous man that cannot be in the street. And it starts with the DA and it starts with the judge. And then I don't know if you want to say, I mean, look, they're only able to do what they can do. He was charged basically with like, oh, you had an assault. I mean, he could have punched a guy in the bar for all we knew. Can't make it up. Thank you, Sir Richard, for the information. And with that, I'll let you go.
But you chose to go back to the residence to carry out this plan and cause havoc and harm, despite you're telling the judge you would never burn the house down. What else was anybody to think pouring gasoline in a home?
I shut the power off as soon as the gasoline got spilled, so there would be no sparks. I shut the boiler off. I shut the power off.
That doesn't make anything any better, sir.
I know, I'm sorry.
You were seen throwing a gun into a trash can after you removed it from your waist, and you just told the police, go ahead and shoot me?
No, that was the guy I was with.
Okay. All right, so now let's move on to the weapon in the motor vehicle in 2016. And you said that was a gun and a knife?
In 2016, yes.
All right, and then you have the criminal possession of a weapon in 2017. You said that was your friend?
Yes.